I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey, you guys. So I just wanted to call to your attention before we jump into the news that the State of the Union address by President Biden is tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, I've always been a nerd, so I've always been someone who wanted to watch the State of the Union address. Even when I was like in high school, I maybe even watched them in middle school with my dad, but I would literally like take notes because I wanted to keep up with what they were saying. But for anyone who is new to watching these things, basically what it is the State of the Union. So it's the way that the president sees he's been doing so far, how our country is doing overall, and what he plans to do going forward. So it's really just a time for the president to stand up in front of the whole country and let us know what's going on behind the scenes and sort of address some key issues. So it's always a big insight into who this president is and how they're operating. So I just like to watch it to get a better sense of who they are as a person. I think it's a very interesting window into their agenda and things like that as well. They usually will invite special guests that the First Lady will host kind of symbolically at the State of the Union. So it'll be interesting to see who Biden taps for that. Obviously, with everything going on, it would be super interesting to bring in someone to do with the Ukrainian conflict, but I doubt that the entire thing is going to be about that. However, our entire episode today is about that. So I know we're all probably like a little bit burned out from this news coverage, but there's just so much going on with it that I'm trying to keep up at warp speed. And you guys have done a great job of sending me articles and tagging me in things that I should be aware of. And I really appreciate that. And I'm doing my best to keep up with everything. Pick the most important stories and pieces of this story to cover. And yeah, I'm just doing that step by step, day by day, and hang in there with me. I appreciate your patience and I appreciate all of your help. So first up, in discussing Ukraine, Switzerland has broken its neutral status. So the most famously neutral country in the entire world has chosen to take a side in the fight between Russia and Ukraine. Yesterday, Switzerland announced that they would stand with the European Union and impose sanctions against Russian banks, specifically against Putin himself, as well as their prime minister and foreign minister. Additionally, Europe has also announced that they are closing off their airspace to Russian aircraft. This is something that they have been talking about doing for quite some time, and now they've fully pulled the trigger on it. Next up, Russia's currency has plummeted. So the Russian currency is feeling the pain, you guys. Their economy was already not in great shape or very big, but the sanctions have everything in a much worse place. The currency has fallen more than 30% since the sanctions went into place. Interest rates in the country skyrocketed from 9.5% to 20% practically overnight. That's more than doubling, you guys. It's a huge, huge difference for the Russian people. Russia was also removed from the SWIFT financial messaging system. When I lived abroad in Brussels with my family, we would actually pass the SWIFT organization, the business offices on a regular basis. But for those who don't know what they are, it's a system that allows for communication between banks and people and businesses across not only continents, but really across the world. It's an incredibly important tool for an economy. But now Russia will have no access to it, further isolating them and their financial systems. Even countries as far away as South Korea and Taiwan have opted to issue sanctions against Russia as well. The whole world is really standing together against tyranny. So, probably my favorite segment of today's episode, Anonymous hacks the Russians. So, first up, I just wanted to let you guys know, I've seen a number of headlines saying that the Ukrainians had hacked the Russians and done these things. And I don't know if that's just people speculating or if their information was behind, but the group Anonymous has actually taken credit for these specific hacking jobs. So really, there's this secondary war going on within an actual war, and that's a cyber war. It's being fought behind the scenes, and a group called Anonymous has hacked Russian websites and TV channels and changed them to show pro-Ukraine content and even play Ukrainian music. This group, whose handle is at Jour Anon1 on Twitter, put out a simple statement saying, quote, "The Anonymous Collective is officially in a cyber war against the Russian government. #Anonymous, #Ukraine," end quote. They have taken credit for numerous cyber attacks against the Russian government, hacking several important government websites by flooding them with so much traffic that they cannot function. It's also important to note that within Russia, there is a propaganda campaign underway to keep the Russian people ignorant to the actualities of this war. The Russian government is banning news outlets from using the words war, occupation, or invasion. They want to paint it like they are just casually moving in and taking over a country that's always been theirs, peacefully. But we all know that that's the opposite of what's been going down. The death toll for civilian Ukrainians is already at 350, and about 644 Ukrainian military members have died as well. So these hackers are also using this as an opportunity to show the real imagery of the war. The group Anonymous has famously stood up against what they view as oppressive regimes like the Church of Scientology, the CIA at times, the Islamic State, and they even fought in favor of the BLM movement. Despite the fact that Russia has used cyber to their advantage in many instances in the past, they don't seem to be employing it in their current efforts, at least not yet. And next up for today, talks, ? So technically, the two countries are supposed to be sitting down at the negotiating table in Belarus. But meanwhile, back in Ukraine, the war still rages on. These talks were agreed to without any preconditions, but Zelensky himself has admitted that he does not expect much to come of them. That said, he does not want to leave any stone unturned that could possibly save Ukrainian lives and save their state. But the Russians are never really that forthcoming or trustworthy with their words. You know, we've touched on this quite a bit when it comes to the Russian government. So it's really hard to imagine genuine progress being made during these talks. But let's hope that we're wrong, I guess. Also, Zelensky is wisely sending delegates to this meeting on his behalf, likely due to safety concerns. But this is really important. So we will definitely keep you guys posted on these talks. And last step for today, I definitely wanted to touch on how we can help. So I know this is like a really, sort of tough scenario. It's easy to feel helpless. We are on the other side of the world. How could we help? Fight Russia? This is not something that's going to be fixed with a donation or with, something little, but all of us working collectively, donating collectively and contributing to these efforts collectively can make a difference. So actually, I wanted to share with you guys that President Zelensky of Ukraine asked publicly on television that we contact our Ukrainian embassy and specifically their defense attaché when we call them, ask for that unit. And they will have specific ways that we can help sort of lined up. And given the kind of grassroots effort of the Ukrainian side of things, I reported on this to you guys that they're gathering glass bottles for Molotov cocktails. They're, old ladies are mending fishing nets to use. And it's just, it's really like all hands on deck kind of moment for the world. So I'm interested to see what he's going to ask people to do. And I definitely will be calling and keeping you guys posted, but you guys should definitely call too. And let's just see what they ask us to do from the other side of the world. I also went ahead and kept yesterday's list of verified groups to donate to in our show notes for today. So if you head there, you can find ways to help by donating. So a little more hands off. If you're super busy, you can always donate to bigger organizations that are doing work, but also some local ones as well. So yeah, just wanted to share all of those resources with you guys because these are things that are again, more verified and we know they're reliable places to put our efforts. So that's super important. And that is the news du jour. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "The more you let go of, the lighter you become and the higher you rise." If you enjoyed this episode, please consider becoming a patron of our podcast. For $7.99 a month, you can unlock tons of perks like breaking news text messages so that you're never out of the loop. Tons of bonus episodes are already up there ready for you to binge, and a discussion board full of networking opportunities and much more. Go to www.patreon.com/sugarfree media today to become a patron. This is the best way to support our show. Our patrons make News du Jour possible. But a couple other ways to support our podcast are rate and review on whatever podcast platform you use to listen, share on your social media, you have influence, tell your friends, family, and colleagues that you love News du Jour and why you listen. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram, just sugarfreemedia, all one word, on TikTok, and sugarfree_media on Twitter. We also have a weekend newsletter called Dreamers Digest that's full of dreamy content recommendations for your weekend and a life update from yours truly. Sign up today on our website, www.sugarfreemedia.co. Our music is by Joey Lavoie and Nicholas Foster. Our cover art is by Hannah Pierce Photography. Our Sugar Free Media logo is by Catherine Jezik Designs. Any twinkling or little footsteps you might hear in the background are by my dog, Rhett. He's a rescue pup and always records with me. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour. Broadcasting from Oklahoma.